Hello, today on the Bioanxiety podcast, we have the lovely Liz, who is a writer for a travel blog here in New York. And on the side, she just launched a platform called NYC Wellness Guide, which helps you find experiences in New York, which otherwise we wouldn't know about. So I'll let you take it away. It's your story. Tell us a little bit more about you, where you're from.
Yeah, so thank you for having me. Love what you're doing. So I'm originally from Boston and I moved to New York probably 6 or 7 years ago. And I noticed when I first moved here that it was so easy to find bars and restaurants and parties, um, but not as easy to find the stuff that is like really good for you. So just this year, I decided to launch something that would make it easier to find stuff like that. So I launched NYC Wellness Guide, which is an Instagram account and a newsletter that just features all of the best wellness focused events in the city. Um, it's a weekly newsletter, so I highlight all of the best events for that week. They're all women's focused, uh, and they're all how I define wellness, which is, it's the fitness classes, it's the sound baths and meditations, but it's also, it's a art in the park. It's like a cool like painting class or something. It's really anything that's good for your mind and body, and just a really great way to meet people who like the same things.
I mean, that's amazing. And also, obviously that's very important to like take care of your health. Like we live
Yeah.
such crazy lives, right? How do you go about finding these events?
So I trained my algorithm to show me just the best events, anything related to wellness, anything related to NYC. I really trained my Instagram algorithm to show me all of that. So I have, when I find something that's cool, I'll try to reach out and attend these events so I know exactly what I'm recommending to people. Um, but yeah, I mean, social media has been such a great tool for that. I also, in going to events like this, I'll establish my own connections with a lot of women in this space who kind of tell me what's coming up. So I have a lot of different avenues for that.
What's been your favorite event that you've done so far?
There have been so many. Recently, I went to something called Othership. It just launched. It's this really cool sauna and ice bath. It's kind of like a social club, but it's really hippie bougie. It's kind of like if you've ever been to Bathhouse or one of the spas around the city. Um, I don't know. The vibe is just so cool. It's really glowy and um, there's great music. There's like guided breathwork sessions. I just went yesterday and I stayed in the sauna for 20 minutes, which I would never have done on my own. So it was really nice to have a guide there kind of like walking you through it. So I would say that that's been my favorite so far.
I think I would die if I stay in the sauna for
I
20 minutes.
I think I found God. It's
I
amazing.
I believe it. I mean, I'm sure your skin. I mean, your skin is glowing. So
Thank
now
you.
we know why. I'm going there. Is this in the city? Other ship?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So it's in the Flatiron. I think it's on 20th, I think.
Actually, I think I've walked by it. So now you have the newsletter, right? And when did you start the newsletter? Recently, right?
Very recently, like a month ago.
What made you decide to finally do a newsletter?
Can I be honest?
Yeah.
It was this podcast. I feel like
Really?
it was, I've thought about this for so long, and I've had this Instagram account, and people would come up to me and be like, "Where should I go? Like, of all these cool things. What do you recommend?" And I think you reaching out and wanting to talk about this and establishing a community of, women who are doing a lot of creative and fun side hustles just made me think, okay, now is just the time. I'm just going to do this. I think a lot of times I don't think I'm unique in this. I think we want to make things perfect, and we don't want to launch things or start anything unless it's absolutely perfect and flawless. But you know I've always heard done is better than perfect. And so just this podcast really made me think, okay, it's just, I'm going to have to just do this now.
That makes me really happy to hear that.
Yeah.
And I know feedback has been great so far. I signed up. I want
Yay.
to find the time to do some of these events. So,
Yes.
and with that, like, how I know obviously like you have a full time job as well, like you write. How do you find the time to like manage everything? Like, is your schedule like do you have your schedule set up a specific way? Like,
Yeah. Yeah. So I really am just like crazy about my schedule. So obviously the 9 to 6 during the week is reserved for my full time job, but every other minute of the day and every other day of the week, I'm focused on this. So it helps because this is what I'm passionate about. This is what I would be doing anyway. So it's really great when your passion and your work is in alignment. It helps you just stay authentic and it helps you just kind of find these things effortlessly. So, yeah, I mean, I really do devote all of my free time to this, whether it's going to an event or just scrolling Instagram and finding the event or putting the newsletter together or talking to people who want to be featured in the newsletter, featured on my social. It really is just, it kind of is its own full-time job.
yeah, it's a lot to do into you have two jobs.
Yeah.
I know how you feel.
Yeah.
um are you gonna like do you plan to expand to other cities? Like I know you're from Boston, you said. Like have you done any events there or
Just New York for now. I would love to one day grow this and scale it and bring it to other cities. I think I just want to keep my keep my sights on New York for now. There's just so much in this city, and I think it just gets overshadowed by all of the bars and restaurants and nightlife and bottomless brunches and all of that. So I really want to stay focused on New York for now.
so starting an NYC Wellness Guide, right? Obviously, again, like you have a full-time job. Like how like what made you decide to finally be like, okay, I'm gonna do it? Like did you have any like fears, any anxiety where you're like, how am I gonna do this? Like how was that process?
Oh God. Yeah, I mean I of course have my own fears and hesitations with this. I think anytime you put yourself out there uh, on social media or just in everyday life, you're at least I am just very aware of how I come off, a little bit self-conscious. Anytime, I mean, especially when I first started out, when I would post stuff on social, I'd be like, do I look stupid? Like, do people think are they going to make fun of me? Are they going to judge me? Um, and I think what's so ironic about that and so sad is we're kind of our own biggest critics. Like in this fear of mine of being judged, I'm the one who's doing it to myself. So I think that kind of helped me get out of that mindset where like people don't care enough to criticize, and if they do, then they're probably not doing it themselves. So I think my biggest fear has just been like other people's judgments, and I've kind of gotten over that.
Yeah, I mean, I completely understand that because I felt the same way. Like, oh my God, am I doing this? What am I going to do? Like, on camera, am I going to sound stupid? Like, I really hate listening to my own voice.
Oh, totally.
Like,
Same.
that's the one thing. But I also just think, like, the people who judge, and like talk badly about the things you're doing, it's just, a lot of the times it's people that wish they had the courage to do this themselves, right? Because it's like it's a lot to put yourself out there. You're all over
Totally.
social media, everyone like seeing your videos. But I'm really proud of you for doing this because I think it's
Thank
really
you.
needed. Like mental health, physical health. Again, like we live such crazy lives, right? Like we work so much. We're literally just talking about this, like how we should just be living in Italy and like La Dolce
Yes.
Vita.
Yes, you're
Like
channeling it with your lemon jumper.
in my head, I'm in Naples, or the Amalfi Coast.
Yes.
But yeah, so what was it like? Can I ask, like, what was it like moving from Boston to here? 'Cause I don't know you very well,
Yeah.
so I actually don't know like why you moved to New York or like the reason. So could you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So I've just always wanted to move to New York. I feel like I was probably just kind of, I was probably a kid like watching all the movies about living in New York and working, living that life. I think like How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days was like probably what brought me here. Not even kidding. Um no, but I just always wanted to be here. There was something always drawing me to the city. And I was also always into writing. I wanted to write for magazines, and I did actually get to check that off my list, which is awesome. um, but yeah, so there was obviously a much bigger industry for that here than back in Boston. And I mean, it was actually, I like to joke that the move from Boston to New York was the easiest move that I've ever done of all my moves. And so back when I was living in Boston, I kind of moved from neighborhood to neighborhood, and it was always a lot of money. It was always like a struggle to find a roommate and all that. But moving from Boston to New York was actually, it was kind of like uh, very serendipitous. So I remember this was back when I used Facebook. That's how long ago this
Oh
was.
wow. Long time.
Yeah, seriously. So yeah, I was like, I want to move to New York. I would love to find a roommate. Let me know if any of my connections are there. And sure enough, like within a few days, one of my old connections, I think she and we interned together back in college, and she just happened to need a roommate the exact time that I needed a place in New York. So I feel like it was very um the stars had aligned for me to come here. And then once I got here, it was kind of a struggle to get situated, because I think anytime, um, if you change up your life, I'm sure you know this, moving around.
Yes.
I'm preaching to the choir here, but it's always hard to meet new friends as adults and like find your community, find a way to feel comfortable in a new city. Um, so yeah, I do think that's kind of what helped inspire me to launch this as well. Just realizing that there are so many people who come here not knowing anybody, and who want a community of people who uh, like the same things as them. And so I wanted to, you know, be that source for other people.
That's so crazy you mentioned community because I feel like almost every single one of my podcast episodes, everybody talks about how important that is. Like
Yeah,
finding your community, finding your people. But yeah, that's really amazing. And yes, it's if things are meant to be, usually, like the universe will like they aligned it for you. You were meant to
definitely.
be here. Um, and so, if there's some listeners out there that are looking to like start their own thing, whether it be like a travel blog or like a wellness blog, or just do their own thing, like what kind of advice would you give them?
Oh man. I would I think I would tell them, what we were talking about earlier, just don't let the fear of looking stupid stop you. Like, who cares? Like, you can mess up. It's fine. Just get started. Again, done is better than perfect. If you want to launch this, if you want to launch something badly enough, you're going to do it eventually, so why not just do it now, you know?
And as one last question, what's one piece of advice you would give yourself, your younger self?
Invest money. Invest in Apple.
Oh god, yeah. Something I
um
think of a lot.
yeah, seriously. um Advice, I would say just have more fun. Just explore what feels fun, what kind of sparks. uh oh, there was someone one time who asked me what set my soul on fire, and I just remember hearing that and thinking, who says that? But then I was like, that's such a real question. Like, I think we all need to ask ourselves what sets our soul on fire, and whatever that answer is, do that. And it doesn't have to fit within the confines of like go to school, study, get an internship, get a job. Just have more fun. Set that soul on fire.
Set that soul on fire. I love that. I'm gonna use that as like a meme
Do
for my
it.
Instagram. Well, thank you so much. This was awesome to get to know you a little bit better.
Yeah.
And I will be tagging NYC Wellness Guide on Instagram and on the website. So, yes, follow Liz. She will show you all the cool things that are happening in New York that are good for you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.